Inside the Maryland Penitentiary tonight, things are not normal. That's because only 16 of the 41 guards assigned to the 4 to midnight shift reported to work today. To ensure security, there's a lockup situation in effect. That means all inmates are locked in their cells, and all of the extracurricular activities for the evening were canceled. Warden George Collins bolstered that force to 28 by holding over some day shift workers. He says the staff shortage does not create a dangerous situation for the public because all key security posts are being manned. Meanwhile, spokesmen for 2 organizations that represent the correctional officers spent the night trying to get their problems across to the public through the media.
We would like to have the governor address these problems by putting immediately and the radios in the institutions that we need, by repairing the vehicles, by addressing the problem of staffing. We were given an opportunity, or we were told that 31 new officers would be added as far as the Maryland Penitentiary is concerned, but that is not until July of this year, and our problems are right now.
I would like to say to the governor and his administrative aides that there be no repercussions at this time for the correctional officers that have called in sick, because this is the only way that they know how to speak out to the public. They are speaking out, they are crying out.
High on the list of priorities the correctional officers say they want is a task force appointed to study their problems, and they want to be a part of that task force. How long will this unofficial sickout last? No one was willing to say. Joyce Jefferson on the scene in Baltimore. Sebastian Russo lived and practiced medicine on Harford Road for more than 20 years. Today, his office is closed, something which usually happened only on Sundays. Friends and patients were stunned and sorrowful at the news of his violent death.
I'm just shocked, and I'm sorry I heard about it.
He's the type of guy that if you needed a doctor and you didn't have the funds, well, you can go to him and, pay him later. That's the type of doctor he was. He was just there when you needed him.
Friends say that Dr. Russo's office had been broken into a couple of times by people apparently in search of drugs. After that, he installed these grids and bars on the windows and doors at the back of his office. Sebastian Russo came to the United States from Italy almost 30 years ago. His patients say he was one of a disappearing breed of doctors, one who made house calls, and whose usual fee for an office visit was $5. Richard Baklovsky says Russo visited his mother almost daily when she was dying of cancer.
There's no person that I can think of that was as dedicated as Dr. Russo was. I mean, he still made house calls, which is almost unheard of today. And he just had a feeling for all of his patients, really. It was a very, very sad thing.
Francis Harden on the scene in Northeast Baltimore.
That'll bring people into the market. There should not, this market, I'm in here this summer, you're going to see the difference. 3, 2, 1, go by, go by.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I'd like you to stay for assistant, Mrs. Joan Burkhart, and somewhere here in the crowd, I can't find him, is our market master.
The sickout began yesterday evening when more than half the guards called in to say they were too sick to work the 4 to midnight shift. Since then, about a third of the full number for each shift has called in sick. Last night at a press conference, the guards aired their grievances. They say they want more guards, an end to overcrowding, more walkie-talkies, a commission to study the problems at the prison, and finally, no disciplinary action for the walkout. Corrections Commissioner Edwin Goodlander says almost all the grievances boil down to money. However, the problem of walkie-talkies is on its way to being solved.
I received information this morning that we have a shipment coming back in today from the maintenance shop, and that we have 10 new ones on order that should be available very shortly.
On the question of more guards, Goodlander says a consultant study shows that the prison is adequately staffed, but he says a problem is created by a high number of guards taking accident leave. High absenteeism is often a sign of employee discontent. Do you think this is a factor here?
Well, I think right now we're experiencing a fair amount of discontent amongst the correctional officers, and I think it's something that is occurring with state workers in general.
On the guards' demands for a study commission, Goodlander says he needs more information before making a decision. And on the matter of not disciplining guards for the sick-out, the commissioner says the guards will have to document their sickness with letters from their doctors. Frances Harden on the scene in Baltimore.
Wait a minute, everybody don't run for that. Talk about closing the school, which we need more room. Classes are overcrowded now. More schools in this community. We are a community of roughly 20,000 people, and we can
Indian wrestling over there and Indian wrestling. All right, Kathleen's.
Okay, go.
Now this is the go time, huh? All right.
Go!
They're off and running with Moosehead. Whoa! That's 10 points. Be careful. You gotta really be careful. If you New Brunswick.
From the outside, the Maryland Penitentiary looks as much like a fortress as ever. The guardhouses are manned, sometimes with guards who've already been on duty 13 hours. But the place looks under control. About 65 guards were expected to show up to work the day shift here. 45 called in sick. As for the night shift, about 40 were expected. Half that number called in sick. Even so, things are pretty quiet inside.
Well, the inmates are well behaved, and surprisingly enough, they are accepting this here walkout with a good bit of consideration. And furthermore, they've seen a movie today, and they did go to the dining room for their regular meals in the afternoon and the evening hours. And just what will come from tomorrow, we don't yet know.
The guards who have been calling in sick say they want higher salaries and tighter security to protect them from inmates. They plan to hold out until their demands are met.
If they don't, then things will continue the way they're going at this point.
They say this could eventually reach guards at other penitentiaries in Maryland. This is Mary Norton on the scene at the Maryland Penitentiary in Baltimore.